Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, February 26, 2022, we are continuing our ongoing coverage of the war between Russia and Ukraine. We've received new information that I wanted to report on and talk about. First and foremost, it would appear that the German armed forces are now going to supply the Ukrainian military, quite possibly through either Poland or the Slovak Republic, both anti-tank guided weapon systems and up to 500 Stinger ground-to-air anti-aircraft systems. And that could be concerning. And the reason why that is concerning, if you are a battlefield commander of the Russian military, at some point you are going to have to request that some sort of military operation take place to shut off the borders with Ukraine and where these some of these advanced weapon systems from the West are coming into the country to kill his fighting men. And obviously, the big concern around that is that could lead to a direct confrontation between Russian forces and NATO forces. We could see attacks very close to the border with Poland. And the question is, what happens if Polish air defense systems start to engage Russian aircraft, or a Russian aircraft launches an anti-radiation missile at a Polish or Slovak or even a U.S. asset that is deployed close to the Ukrainian border. And that's the risk that has to be weighed in this continuing conflict. Because again, the Ukrainians are willing to fight, and if the West continues to provide these weapon systems, obviously it is going to impact both the course of the conflict, and it is also going to impact the amount of casualties the Kremlin is taking. And at some point, they may be willing to act, and obviously that has been proven by this war that we're now seeing inside of Ukraine. On another issue to note that is probably a fairly significant issue is that there are now reports that Russian strategic aviation will now start to be used in the ongoing war that is taking place. That means the Russians will start to deploy, quite possibly, backfire strategic bombers, blackjack strategic bombers, and bear strategic bombers as well. And normally, in terms of the Russian use of these weapons, these are employed primarily as a carpet bombing type of asset. They do fire cruise missiles. We have seen the blackjack and we have seen the bear bombers employ cruise missiles, and in all likelihood, they have employed those cruise missile assets in this conflict. But we have not seen strategic aviation over the Ukraine carpet bombing Ukrainian maneuver units. That has not happened as of yet. So again, the idea would be that these strategic aviation bombers would be flying at high altitude and quite literally dropping thousands of tons of ordnance on possible targets inside of Ukraine. But those are two significant events, I think, worth talking about. And I had anticipated at some point we would see the use of some of these strategic assets as the conflict continued. Again, I do believe this is going to be much more of a challenging and a definite obstacle for Russian military capabilities in terms of launching the size of said operation into the Ukraine. This is going to be a very difficult operation, and it's going to take some time, and it is probably going to take the use of all assets that are at the disposal of the Russian armed forces to eventually win this war. Again, Ukraine, very large country, industrial capacity, very large army. Just to kind of give you again an idea in case you don't have you the viewer don't have access to orders of battle or manpower ratios and the size of the Ukrainian military. The Ukrainian army is bigger in terms of ground forces than both the German and French militaries combined. So think about that for a second. Very large force, very willing force to fight right now. So this is not an easy objective. And if you want to compare and contrast and say, well, the Russians are struggling against Ukraine, that means that they would also they may struggle against the Baltic states or Poland. I would say Ukraine is very, very comparable to Poland, and right now it actually has more fighters than the Polish army can field, and it's a bigger country with quite possibly a larger industrial capacity as well. So just think about that for a few minutes, and as we continue to watch this incredibly intense war that is taking place. So more to come very soon. Have a good day, everybody.